Primary Tourist, Chapter 34. You know what I've been thinking about since our last time? John Edwards. Funny, huh? You know how I said real ironic how happy I was that I wasn't him? Like, little did I know, right? But you know what? I still wouldn't trade places with John Edwards. Talk about airing your dirty laundry in public. I mean, really, sir, if your wife peeled off her top at an airport and while topless screamed, "You don't see me," and she didn't say, "and my scars," but there they were, then you calmly ignore her while calling her doctor and then catching a private jet to a campaign event in South Carolina, your futile march to the White House uninterrupted. You wouldn't want that story told in open court for all the world to see, would you? You wouldn't want your daughter to have to leave the courtyard in tears, would you? I know I wouldn't. I'd even rather be here than have to answer to that real fucked up karma. And I don't even believe in karma. But then again, I have some shame. John Edwards was too full of the importance of John Edwards to have a hint of shame. What was it she said? Oh, yeah, you don't see me. He never did. She's gone now, and I doubt that he ever saw her. But if you can hear me, Elizabeth, if it means anything to you, he never saw much except John Edwards. Oh, he could talk a good game, but when you see him face to face, I don't care what you say. You can see the human there. And eye to eye, I saw a bunch of them, and there's only one that's almost as soulless as John Edwards. Mitt Romney. So, why am I talking about all this? John Edwards, after all, was already in the political hinterlands long before last spring. But here we were, watching him like any train wreck. We couldn't look away. One reason was, well, shit, rubbernecking at train wrecks, damn, that's the national pastime. Another reason was that it was the only game in town. Think about it. The Republicans had all but annoyed admit whether they liked it or not. And as for the Democrats, well, just because Obama was president doesn't mean everybody loved him either. Some of his primary numbers in the South were downright unpresidential. Hell, in Arkansas, 40% voted for John Wolf. John Wolf! Did I even mention John Wolf? I didn't think so. But he was there in New Hampshire, the epitome of inconsequential, never mind as a candidate for president, but as a presence. Do you know what I mean? There he was, a shy deer in the headlights, the kind of guy you'd never expect to get 67,604 votes in the Arkansas primary. But John Wolf was the closest thing to not Obama on the Democratic ballot in Arkansas. But like it or not, the general election will be Romney, the man whose soul no one knows, against Obama, the man we were hoping was somebody else. I thought I might have heard a yawn in the background, or maybe one hand clapping. It's a long time to the conventions with not much going on. No wonder John Edwards' Dirty Laundry was getting such a long look. Dirty Laundry was easier to watch or listen to for those of us that were television deprived than listening to Trayvon Martin's sad, too short story. Maybe I'm too much of a blue state kind of guy, sir, but to me it seemed there were too many villains to really latch on to just who was responsible for this man's death. I mean, Robert Zimmerman, that one name that's obvious. But how about the guy that hired him? Or better yet, how about the whole Florida legislature for passing that idiotic stand your ground law? I'm sorry, sir, but who thought that giving everyone a gun in a low bar separating self-defense from murder would end up in a happy ending? You know, all the shit I'm going through, at least I'm still alive. And when all's said and done, I have nobody to blame but myself. Imagine if the worst thing I was being a teenager with the wrong skin color. I can't even imagine what it's like to be told your son is dead for really no good reason. As bad as this place is, it's heaven compared to that hell. To tell you the truth, the whole thing was a bit more for this tourist because you didn't have to be a genius to see that there wasn't going to be any justice here. Stand your ground means get away with murder. That's my 2 cents anyway. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah, last spring. Wow, that's a long ways from here. You just head about 1,000,000 miles towards heaven. You know what I'm saying? I sure have come a long way since then, most of it bad. If only I could find my way back, you know? Knowing then what I know now, kind of thing. If only life had mulligans. As it was, life seemed okay at the time. I allowed myself to be oblivious to the ticking time bomb my body was, so, you know, things were fine, as far as I knew. Ignorance is bliss, or so they say. Fuck that. I'd rather have a mulligan than all the blissful ignorance in the fucking world. Walking would be nice, not to mention not living in a nut house. Sorry, I guess that's not really a very politically correct way to put it. But Jesus, stay here a few days and your PC quotient kind of plummets. You know what I'm saying? The day after the Dylan tribute, I sent a congratulatory "boy am I glad I was there to see you" text, and I was all tingly in a good pre-stroke kind of way when I got her response. I'm so happy about last night too. It was so much fun. And I always want you to be part of the fun. You are the fun. Let's take swing dancing lessons. I'm serious. Look it up. I ate that shit up. Had a smile on my face the rest of the day. Just as if, uh, just as if, well, just as if what she said was true. Another mulligan, maybe? I don't know, sir. But I always figured a mistake of the heart isn't a mistake at all. It's the raw material of karma, if that makes any sense. If you're true to your love, then you can turn back years. Even more than that, you can regain your purity. I know it sounds crazy, but I believe it. On good days. Or is it stupid days? 3 days after Dylan's birthday was my birthday. I didn't know it at the time, but it'll be my last pre stroke birthday. Kind of looks like it'll be my last full bodied birthday. Although, sweet Jesus, I hope not. At any rate, it was my last pre stroke birthday. Seems like it should now have a shine in my memory. You know what I mean, sir? Kind of like the last act of Our Town. You ever see that one? What's that? A high school production. Sure, that counts. You remember the last act? How the girl that died came back to see, I think it was her 16th birthday, and it was so hard to watch. Remember that? And it was because the mortals had no clue about their riches. Remember? Well, my 56th birthday was kind of like that. Looking back on it now, it was a red letter day. At the time, though, I wondered if it was a dud. For one thing, there was definitely a shitload of rain, but it wasn't a washout either, an optimist would tell you. A little good, a little bad, like every birthday, every day, really. On the outside, that is. Here, it's more like a little bad, then a little more bad, then a whole shitload more bad piled on top. What's that? A pessimist? Me? Oh, I don't think so. Just a realist, about what I had and what I've lost and all the shit that's left. And who knows? I might move on from here one of these days. Then maybe it won't be bad, bad, and more bad. Someday. Does that answer your question? Close enough? Good, because I'll probably start crying if I think about it for too long. Because to tell you the truth, I always thought of myself as an optimist. Because if I was a pessimist, if I figured things wouldn't get any better than they are right now, Jesus, I'd just as soon die. So where was I? Oh, yes, my birthday. Damn, that's forever ago. Yet, it seems I just had it. Funny, huh? So, as I recall, it was raining as I woke up. Sometimes the sound of rain outside as you're nice and warm and cuddly under the sheets can be beautiful if only you look at it that way. That's the trick, though, isn't it? Not many of us look at life that way. Well, until we have to. Another thing I did a lot of on my birthday was wait for Jenny. And I'll tell you something, I was kind of peeved about it at the time. Now, thinking about it, at least I had something to look forward to, something real and concrete. Now, what do I have to look forward to? Other than getting the hell out of here or blowing Dodge, if you get my drift. And when the hell is that going to be? No, no, I know you can't answer that. It was a rhetorical question. But then, just last spring, there was all kinds of stuff going on, just far enough in the future to wish your life away, minute by minute, day by day, year by year, until all those years are gone. And no matter how it seemed, it wasn't all waiting. Jen came by to see my new apartment, and she gave me a birthday present, an old fashioned writer's journal, iconic nod to catching great white snippets. I went to see a real funny play, and the Accelerators had a gig that night. It was exciting seeing a new band coming to their own. Before you know it, it's 2 a.m., and you're on the way back home. And once you fall asleep, it's not your birthday anymore. In the meantime, I was driving the car with the band. Now that I think of it, that was the last time I ever drove a car. The last time I ever felt the wind on my face as my hands, both of them as healthy as the day is long in June, on the wheel. I wasn't eager for my birthday to be over. So I tried to talk the band into extending my birthday, into creating some after hours party for just the three of us. Sorry, we're too tired. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were a rock and roll band, I said. And yeah, I know, it was pretty lame. But you know what? It almost worked. Jen was the one that responded. Spike, man, you said it. And she proceeded to lobby for me. But the drummer was adamant about no. But he tossed something magical before us, the three of us, the band and me. We were stopped in front of my apartment. My birthday was about to be over. There's the moon, and he was right. There it was, big and bright. You two waltz in the moonlight. That would be the sight. You know, Jenny had this thing about the myth of things. At that point, it was the myth of the band, but it could be anything ripe for myth. The beautiful thing about the myth was you didn't really have to concern yourself with those bastards called facts. If the moment didn't happen in linear time, now in the myth, it did happen now and forever. And to me, nothing was as ripe for myth as the myth of Spike and Jenny. You see, sir, whatever I say to you about Jenny and Spike, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't, but it's part of the myth now. So much better than pesky facts. So whatever I say now, whether it happened or not, in a world beyond fact, is true. Hell is truth itself. So, as I tell you this, remember, this is better than an eyewitness account. This is myth in the making. Just keep that in mind. Now it was Jenny's turn to be a little apprehensive. No, I'm tired. Don't you want this to be the best birthday ever? Well, sir, what's more iconic than the best birthday ever? Jenny was too wrapped up in myth not to see the beauty of the situation. The night, the birthday, the big bright moon. What else could she do? So I took her in my arms and we got out of the car, hand in hand. And, sir, whether myth or fact, neither Jenny nor myself were very fluent in the art of waltz. So, yeah, I'm sure we were quite the sight, us, the moon, quite the sight. But the best part, nobody could see the feel of her body starting to sweat a little against mine, bone dry, the beat of my heart. Hell, I thought I could even hear her heart beating. Sir, nothing's more intimate than a slow dance. So, yeah, it really was something. The best birthday ever in the myth. Okay, now I'm thinking of ending the chapter there. One good thing about myth, you don't have to rationalize it, don't have to defend it at all. It's like kryptonite. Of course, kryptonite's not real, not even a little bit. That doesn't stop it from being the best symbol for an Achilles heel since the Achilles heel. Myth lasts a lot longer than facts. When you die, myth is all that's left. Facts? Hell, of all the things that you can't bring to the grave with you, facts is number one. Hey, you know what? That's as good a place to leave things as any. So if it's all the same to you, I'll be working on the myth of Spike in the asylum until we meet again. Primaries Horace, chapter 35. Facts. You want facts, I'll bet, don't you? Really? Whatever I want to tell you, that's what you want to hear? Wow. The myth continues. Seriously, sir, if only Obama could have stopped with the myth, the legend, you know what I mean? If only we could just say hope and don't forget change, and the country can bask in the happily ever after, and the credits roll over the most inspiring sunset you ever saw. If only the fucking world worked that way. There was some pretty fucked up things going on in the world the spring of 2012, I'll tell you that. For instance, how about salt tabs? In the spring of 12, people were going crazy on salt tabs, eating people's faces and shit. Oh, wait, that was a false rumor, but it had already done its job. There's another myth for you, the myth of salt tabs with the cannibal eye. That has zero appeal to me, but there's some real twisted folks out there that mistake soullessness for romance. George Orwell would have had a field day on the language alone. But Jesus, it's like the future is now in a hellish anti utopia way, and the hell is wall to wall. When the high of choice makes you too paranoid to breathe, well, Jesus, I don't know what to make of it. And in Wisconsin, Scott Walker beat back a recall quite handily. That doesn't mean he'll win a second full term in a few years. Then again, he might. Am I the only one that thinks an old fashioned union buster as governor of a major state is a scary notion? Shit, that might be worse than a couple of twisted cannibals munching on faces while the bath salts take hold. Be careful what myths you build, man. They do beaucoup damage. More damage than good, usually. And who knows where Scott Walker's legend will end up. Makes me shudder to think about it. And Rodney King died right in the middle of it all. And he never did live to see us all getting along. I kind of doubt any of us are going to live that long. So that's some of the history of that time period, just enough to make the myth work as a period piece. A key piece of the myth was the search for the great white, one spikoo at a time. The spikoos are nothing if not period pieces. Spin that my way, please. The economy still, but not clear who's stupid. Well, come to think of it, that could be lots of times. I mean, yeah, it's the economy stupid, but for who? How about this one? Edwards' verdict. Not guilty in all but everyone's mind. Obviously, that was my response to John Edwards avoiding jail time, except for his own personal jail of seeing contempt in the eyes of just about everybody he might run into. Yeah, this one definitely has a spring of 12 feel to it because now John Edwards is just another political has been. He might be on my wall of shame, but there's only so much attention span for most people out there. Let's face it, there's a lot of shame to go around. Kind of like these spikoos. I got just short of 1,000 of the suckers. The law of averages tells me that maybe I hit gold at least a couple of times, but you got to find it. In the myth, though, The gold sparkles that much more. Hard effort pays off. The great white is tamed. Damn, the myth is sweet. But you know what? Life itself is almost as sweet. No, fuck that. Sweeter than any fucking myth. Ever noticed you can't taste anything in myths? Or actually touch a woman for that matter? Immortality is real fucking overrated. So, as the myth goes, the great white was found a little more often in little snippets. All right before the sun rises over Providence as I watch from Fox Point Bridge, just a hop, skip, and a jump from both my home and my coffee, with a glimpse of the great white already seen before sunrise. Bit by bit, every day the great white showed himself, only for a few minutes, right before the sun scared him off. It's kind of romantic, this myth, ain't it? And there was plenty of actual romance in this myth. And like I said, the myth is what we have now. You know what's really fucked up? After a while, the myth gets as tangled, as out of control as any physical reality. If you don't believe me, ask Hunter Thompson. Are you familiar with him? Like Frankenstein, he was a madman that created a monster. Hunter Thompson's monster was named Raoul Duke, and some people thought he was Hunter, but he wasn't. Long before he killed himself, he tried to kill Duke. Unlike on himself, he could never pull the trigger on Duke. Poor tortured genius bastard. What that tells me is to be very careful what myth you choose to be your own, because that's what people will think is you. And ain't they right, kinda? We are our dreams, aren't we? I know it sounds like a hokey science fiction film, but Hunter Thompson's life was no fucking movie. He should have been more careful. But then again, who would expect Raoul Duke to be careful? Shit, see, even I'm doing it. Raoul Duke is just a figment of his imagination and our own. So, chasing the great white and searching for love, well, it might be a cliche, but it's relatively safe. And remember, there's always a reason why a cliche is a cliche. It's something that has appeal for the ages. What better ways are there to achieve immortality than work on your art and your love? Chasing your muse or your love, they're the same thing. And the only thing that beats chasing your muse is chasing your love. And Jesus, I did a lot of both last spring. And I even went up north in the spring. Who knows? Maybe for the last time ever. It was the first ever Granite State Music Festival. Rod was doing some heavy duty volunteering for them. And this kind of was pins and needles time for them, waiting to see if they made the nut. At the same time, well, Jesus, June in New Hampshire, you can't beat it. I was catching a ride up with a couple of my friends, and it was getting to be time to pack. I always traveled light, especially when I wasn't sure whether or not I'd be catching a bus back. The last thing I packed was that journal that Jenny gave me for my birthday, and that was hardly heavy. It was actually pretty light as journals go. But something about the way it landed with everything else, it threw it all out of kilter, threw my whole body out of kilter. For a few months, my back was in pain. So in a weird way, writing actually caused me pain. And if that's not iconic, I don't know what is. You got to suffer if you want to sing the blues, as the song goes. You ever hear that one? No? You're missing something. But at any rate, I thought I was getting my blues cred going on back then. But what did I know? My whole fucking life is a blues tune these days. Jesus, maybe even country. But back then, I thought I was the epitome of the struggling, tortured artist. But the pain this weekend will be tempered by the promised land, New Hampshire, where some dreams start and some dreams end. And we were all hoping this weekend was the start of some great things for the Granite State Music Festival. There was a bit of buzz about the festival. The headliner was the head honcho of the Black Crows. I think he was the only crow there. Original ones, I mean. You probably heard of the guy. Chris Robinson? Or was it Rich Robinson? That's fame for you. If you're almost famous enough, you'll be mistaken for your brother. If you are famous enough, your brother will be mistaken for you.
In the meantime, Rod and Erica's yard was cluttered with paid attendees of the festival setting up camp. I think they were mostly skiers, and mostly male, as I recall. But what I was looking forward to was the tunes. Under the stars, this wonderful night. Damn, life is good. What am I saying? Was good. That was then, this is now, and now sucks. I had no idea how good I had it. And Nate was coming in tonight. It'll be good to have a sidekick again, if only for a night and a day. The other plus was the couch in the patio had my name on it. On the patio, you could feel the breeze of the out of doors in the comfort of home. Not your home, somebody else's home, but still pretty fucking comfortable. Key, of course, was holding on to the couch in the patio. And if that ain't foreshadowing, I don't know what the fuck is. But isn't that what makes life worth living? Forgetting the past and not knowing the future, it constantly being now, watches and calendars be damned, as long as we look in the mirror from time to time. Because that's what the world sees. Pity, too. The world is missing 90% of my brilliance. Don't worry, I'm just kidding, I think. The first day is kind of a blur right now. Seems some of us went picking strawberries. Erica was there, but not Rod. He was pretty much balls to the wall, volunteering for the festival all weekend. Meanwhile, back at the strawberry patch, I by far was the worst picker of strawberries there. Not that there was a competition. But then again, it's not like there wasn't a competition either. Unspoken, but you know. So was Charlie Chaplin, and he was a genius, right? It kind of reminds me of egg hunts on Easter when I was a kid. Everybody had their own egg, so everyone could work at their own pace. Who would possibly notice that even though everybody else had found my incredibly easy egg, that I was the last one to find my egg? How about everyone? Man, did I hate Easter. Of course, I was rewarded for my eventual discovery of my egg. I don't even remember the chintzy gifts I got, but there was also a buttload of chocolate and other candy. Yum. The reward for picking strawberries was fresh strawberries. Just as yummy, but a lot healthier. The bulk of the strawberries didn't know it yet, but they were going to be mated with a shitload of brown sugar to make a real tasty pie. What's that, sir? Do I believe that strawberries know not only their existence, but their future? Ha! That's a trick question, isn't it? Nobody knows the future, least of all our own. No one can stand it. Everyone knows that. Nice try. Ding ding. Incoming text. From Nate. Just got out of work. Got some shit to do. I'll catch you tonight. Enjoy today's music. Oh, yeah, I got there Friday and Nate wasn't due in till Saturday night. It's funny, it really wasn't so long ago, but I'm forgetting so much of the weekend, especially Friday night. It feels like it was a million years ago. I think time's even more slippery than the Great White. Like seconds, minutes, hours don't exist. It's all just moments, random, one after the other that make up a life, don't you think? On second thought, don't answer that. You might burst my bubble. It may not be much of a bubble, but bubbles of any kind are pretty fucking rare around this place. So, anyway, I tried to honor Nate's request and enjoy the bands on day one. I don't remember much about the bands. I have a much better recollection of the hot young lady doing wonders with a hula hoop. Ain't that funny? And I remember the rain a little past mid afternoon. Rain on our heads, sure, but it really rained on walk up business, on their finances anyway. But isn't a festival more about magic than about money? You know what, sir? Why don't you just not answer that one either? Then I can pretend the world is a romantic place. What's that? I got a lot of learning to do? Who doesn't? So, anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, I was pretending the world is a romantic place. Anyway, one thing my memory is real clear about is the stars that night. Summer nights, man. It's a shame the days are so long and the nights are so short. Ah, summer nights. Listening to music was just icing on the cake. Delicious icing, though. I was just chilling, waiting for Nate. I haven't seen Nate since primary day, and I missed my sidekick. Hell, I missed having a sidekick. I thought I knew a thing or two about loneliness. Little did I know how much there was to know. But back to the New Hampshire Music Festival. Well, back to Rod and Erica's backyard. Every now and then, I'd catch some headlights on the road. Nate? Nope. Nope. Always nope. Until finally, it was yep. Hey, man, it's been a minute. How you been? I don't even know what I've been. I'll be damned if I know how. An act of God, I guess. Damn, it felt good to have a sidekick. So I have a present from the great north, Nate said, grabbing a gallon of switchback beer. Man, it looked so refreshing in a clear bottle on an early summer's night. Ah, the simple things. A summer's night, a good beer, good friends. So simple you'll think they'll never end. Appreciate them, Doc. Sir. That's my advice to you if you want to hear it. All those things, the summer, the beer, even the friends, they're still here, but I'm like a million miles away at the same time, each step in eternity. What do you think, sir? Can I get there again? One massive step at a time? Baby steps, you say? That's a long way to go, an inch at a time. But if you say so, I'll give it a shot. So where was I? I think we found Rod and Erica to drink some switchback. Did I mention Rod and Erica had a trailer in their backyard to chill in with the very special assistance only cannabis can give? And in this case, I needed to be with my sidekick, even if, or is it especially if, he was young enough to be my son, the son I never had. Not that I ever wanted one. I never did. Did I? Then again, if I had a son, I probably wouldn't get stoned with him and talk about my love life. Or was it a lack of a love life? What I talked about was confusion over which it was, and he understood. And neither of us knew what it was and what to talk about. So we talked about the weed. Ah, good times. So we toked up some of my weed, then his, or vice versa. Then we stepped back out to the real world with a nice glow on, so the stars twinkled just a little brighter. I mingled just a little bit, though I must say I was very popular. Or should I say my weed was very popular? What's that? My generosity was very popular? Though I must say, there was a shitload more talking up my weed than my generosity. But all in all, it was a good evening. There was laughs, there was music, there was weed. There even was strawberry pie. What's not to like? Eventually, late into the night, I was glad that the couch in the patio had my flag on it. But alas, some snoring asshole had no respect for boundaries. So I went back out and sat next to the fire. It was early enough in the summer that the warmth of the sun was really craved. But that was tomorrow. Well, later today. Back then, that is. A shitload of yesterdays ago. But back then, I had no doubt that tomorrow was another day, and it was something to look forward to.